To the Grubhub, Doordash, or any other food delivery employees. What is the strangest scenario you have had with an order? Well, I have something I'd like to contribute. But it's the reverse, meaning it's the strangest scenario I've had as a delivery customer. Around 2004-2005 I lived alone in New Jersey with no car. But did have a fast metabolism. So I ordered from the local pizza place pretty much every other night. The owner and I loosely became friends after what was probably 100 orders. To the point where more than once he let me order and pay the next time. Delivery was usually done by someone in a beaten-up car. Or at best, a few-year-old sedan. One summer night I placed an order for delivery right before closing. About an hour later, a dark car creeps up the driveway. Despite being pitch black out, I could tell by the reflections on the paint that something was different. It was downright surreal. Like a CG rendering of a fake car. This is weird. I think to myself. Who can this be? The delivery is going to be here any minute. So I hope this bozo turns around and gets out of here quick. As it comes closer, I notice the design is unlike anything I've ever seen before. Eventually it pulls all the way up. Does a K-turn. And much to my surprise, parks. I can now faintly make out a logo. Two R's stacked on top of each other. I didn't know much about cars. But I did know enough to know what two R's meant. Along with the fact that anything made by said car manufacturer cost more than most luxury homes. Surely this is a mistake. What is this person doing in my driveway in the middle of the night? I wondered to myself. Starting to grow slightly concerned. The driver's door opens. And a man calmly gets out. He looked like he just stepped off the set of a James Bond movie. Now if I didn't know much about cars, I surely knew even less about suits. But I could tell this guy's suit was worth more than my life. He suavely reaches into the car. And pulls out a pizza. He walks up the driveway. And hands it to me. At this point my mouth was opening and closing. But no words were coming out. I was like a fish out of water. I immediately started fumbling with the damp, sweaty dollars I had in my fist trying to count out a tip. And he shakes his head. And says no. Then he tells me to enjoy my pizza and have a good night. At this point I slowly nodded. Not knowing what else to do. He got back in his car. Quietly pulled out of the driveway. And drove off into the night. A few days later I decided to get some exercise and walked up to the pizza place rather than getting delivery. The owner was there and I mentioned the peculiar experience I had. He started laughing and told me that was my brother. He's VP of Finance for JP Morgan in NYC. I forgot to give your pizza to the delivery driver before he left. And I had to clean up for at least an hour. So I couldn't deliver it myself. My brother just happened to stop by to see me on his way home. So I asked him to drop it off to you since you're one of my most regular customers. TL. Doctor. One of the highest level executives of one of the largest financial firms in the world personally delivered my pizza in his Rolls-Royce Phantom just before midnight on a random summer night. Undefined. Holy speep, this is my favorite story. I was delivering to a couple 2 pizzas. And they were arguing like crazy. Throwing speep crazy. As per COVID rules for my job. I stepped back and watched the man grab the pizza and drop a rather large wad of cash on the pizza bag. He shut the door pretty quick and while I grabbed the bag and the cash, a plate crashed on the door with the lady screaming, "That's the kind of speep I'm talking about. Bro." I ran. I wonder if they ordered the pizza before or after they started arguing. Have fun paying for pizza with your $0 a year salary plus benefits, babe. I once had the person I was delivering to meet me in the restaurant's parking lot. This was the very early stages of COVID. So indoor dining was banned and it was also a very popular restaurant, so the line was long as speep. I made 13 off a really easy delivery. So I'm not complaining. A guy I worked with had a delivery where the customer said to knock on the door and say, "Food's here, buy peep or no tip." A couple weeks ago I had a customer pay in change. No big deal. Happens sometimes. The weird part is that all the change wasn't in a bag. An envelope. Nope. It was a vinyl glove. There was also a silver dollar in the change too. Finished a Postmates delivery in the Hollywood Hills when I got pinged to pick up an order at the Starbucks that's just off Laurel Canyon or in that general area, I can't remember exactly. I like delivering in this area because usually the tips were very good. The person ordering wanted 4 tall iced coffees. With no ice. I shrugged that part off because rich LA people are off-peeping weirdos. But I was annoyed because I had to place it. Which means I had to make those annoying requests instead of just pick up the drinks. I go into the Starbucks and the lady working the counter says we've been expecting you. And I was like, if you're a Postmates courier you know that if you have to place the order, the restaurant would not be expecting you. Seen a lot of posts in /r/Postmates by couriers who say they just straight up refuse those. Then she tells me that this is Ariana Grande's exact order and that I will be delivering to her house. It wasn't her name in the app, but it did occur to me that a celeb of her caliber probably use an assumed name or have an assistant order for her. I still had my doubts just because I'm a naturally skeptical person. When I got to the address, I had to enter a key code at the gate, which wasn't unusual for this area. But when I saw the view and saw that it was basically its own compound of multiple different houses, I figured that even if it wasn't Ariana Grande's house, it had to be someone obscenely rich and famous. I pulled up to the house number specified in the app and texted that I was there. Per the instructions. The person who greeted me was a middle-aged 4'10" Latina woman with a limp. She said thanks and I left. You met Ariana Tall. I'll see myself out. A grown man who insisted that I refer to him as Snow White. He tipped pretty good though. I'd take the money and say thanks Snow White and get back in my car. Hopefully that's the safe word. One time during the early days of the pandemic I got an order for like a ton of barbecue ribs from some newly opened restaurant in Atlanta. I got all this food, drove out to some random upscale Hilton hotel off the beaten path. After a ton of back and forth with the concierge, he finally directed me to the correct room. I finally reach it only to be met at the door by 2 naked folks and another 2 more waiting on the bed in the hotel room. I'm not saying those barbecue ribs were gonna be used in that orgy I interrupted, but I can't definitively say there wasn't a connection. How? Exactly. Does one employ a barbecue rib in an orgy setting? Not sure how many more bones those people needed for their lil group sesh. But the night was undoubtedly going to get saucier. I used to deliver for Domino's and was delivering during a night with freezing rain, so it was very slick. I get to this one house with a steep driveway with no way I could drive up. I tried multiple ways to walk up the driveway and even on the grass, but would only make it a few feet. So I call the customer and explain the issue, and they come out with a rope and I tie the pizza bag to it. So they pull it up the driveway, take the pizza and put the cash in the bag with a nice tip. I love that they have a driveway rope handy. So do you normally order pizza without a pizza pulling rope handy? That is just irresponsible. Got a few good stories delivering for the Hut about 10 years ago. 2 of my best runs were delivering to an orgy. The guy was sitting on his porch in a bathrobe and had to run inside to get more cash. Being very careful to block my view inside. But when his biddy came to the door I got a good look inside. 4 chicks and 2 dudes from what I could see, all naked with plenty of booze, drugs, and paraphernalia laying around. Not much for a tip, but an interesting delivery I'll never forget. Another, I had a delivery to a mansion of a house. When I get there nobody answers the door or answers the phone number listed. As I'm about to give up and go back to the store, 3 10 to 12-year-old kids run up saying they ordered the pizza and their parents were out of town. While the parents were away they taught themselves how to make homemade smoke bombs, which they used to inadvertently set their backyard on fire. I grabbed their hose and started putting out the fire. They didn't want to call the fire department in fear of getting in trouble, but I made them do it. By the time the fire truck pulled up, I had taken care of the flames and the kids emptied all 3 of their pockets into my hands for about a 40 tip. Wow! Good on you. Leave a like and a comment if you liked the video. Check out more Reddit related video, I am posting them daily. Subscribe to see more Reddit content.